Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you. Another video. All right, so I'm trying something out. I don't know how this is going to do. This is the free phone that everybody's getting near the train station in California. I've had this phone for a long time. Somebody knocked on my door randomly while I was at a motel and said, "Hey, you want a free phone?" And I just obliged. I just sat there, filled out all the information, and took the phone. And now I'm able to benefit from it because one of my phones is down and the other one is uploading the Lakers Spurs video that I don't want to leave the house without fully uploading. So I'm in a weird spot in the building I'm in where there's no real Wi-Fi in the room, but there's some outside the room. So I got the cord literally leading out the door, and that said it'll probably be done in like an hour. So I'm killing time because I want that to upload before I leave the house, and I need that phone when I leave the house. So it's a lot going on with my phone situation. I hope to have it resolved maybe today, maybe not. We'll see. But for now, I just figured, hey, let me see if I can upload anything on this phone. How much time do I have? Because it's a limited space type thing with this phone. So I don't expect I'd be able to make an hour video, but maybe like 20-minute video. Maybe possible. So I figured, hey, let me turn it on, see if I have any upload issues, see if it uploads at all. And if it doesn't upload, who cares? Because I don't particularly expect to say anything too poignant in this video. I wanted to make this a Laker video because I had a few thoughts. And if they happen to just not upload, who cares? That's literally how I feel. First of all, congrats to the squad for playing so well against Portland. As you guys know, I was only able to see very small fragments of that game. I did finally see highlights of it this morning. Love what I saw from the guys, man. It was so much fun watching them play as well as they did. The confidence that guys like Nick Smith played with, Bronny James played with, Jake LaRavia, the birthday boy. Shout out to Jake. Happy birthday, buddy. Just the way the confidence was throughout the course of that game. We knew we could score against a good defensive team. We knew that we were shorthanded, but none of our guys were lacking in confidence and direction. And I think that's really what it is. Direction is what I saw. A team that from man to man knew what they needed to do. Another thing is it's a team that makes sense even without their stars, which is something that I requested that we focus on in the building of the team that we've put together here. I said there were times when we had LeBron and AD where the players on the team were only there to complement the stars, and if they didn't play, we didn't make sense. So I wanted us to be able to be constructed to where even if the stars are out, the guys who were down there fit and can be cohesive, because as much as we tend to miss LeBron James, and obviously with Luka and his health potentially being in question at times, AD when he was in place, you couldn't count on those guys to be there all the time. So you needed the guys who were left to be able to work with one another, fit with one another, positionally align with one another, and ultimately be able to compete um, with the field alongside one another. So I think we've done a much better job with what we've put together here to make sure that we have those elements in place. And because of it, you're seeing a team that can run against anybody, even without pieces that are key role players. So or stars rather. So I'm really pleased with what I'm seeing down there. I want to give Rob Pelinka a lot of credit. I feel heard, you know what I'm saying? Since I've been screaming into this phone about certain things, elements that I wanted to see our franchise value, youth, um, just uh, good balanced books and stuff like that. I feel like everybody is doing what ultimately I've been preaching about for the last 4 years. And I see the shift in our consciousness as it pertains to our organization and just what they prioritize. And I think we're in a wonderful spot, man. I think we're in a wonderful spot for where we were. We now have affordable, high producing young players with upside. We got a superstar that can carry us into the future, and we have an environment from which LeBron James can at least think it's possible he can win another championship with this group. He doesn't have to leave here to be a contender, because right now what we've put together appears to be a contender. Now, do I think we're better than OKC? No. We're probably going to need some help from the injury bug in regards to overcoming that particular team. But the way injuries have gone in this league, you just run what you have and you see what happens. You know what I mean? We looked in last year, Indiana Pacers made the seventh game of the NBA Finals. this is a weird league, and if you take care of what you can control, sometimes things do fall in your favor. Yeah, and so that's what I think the Lakers are in. We're in a position to be this year's Indiana Pacers. And in the Western Conference, it's a little tough, but I look at some of these other teams that are quote unquote contenders, and they're not impressing me. Denver's not really impressing me like that. The Rockets are on a 4-game winning streak. I haven't seen them, so I'm going to just step away and say I don't know what they're up to. But obviously, OKC is the cream of the crop. They haven't lost a game. I expect that to continue. I expect for them to win a championship. But outside of that, we got a great chance at being a leading contender in the Western Conference if we keep up what we're doing. And so you got to give credit to all parties involved, including our coaching staff and players, front office personnel, everybody. Uh, it seems to be on the right page and need to be uh, given all the credit in the world for what they've put together here. So that's what I wanted to say. That's the first thing that came to mind. The second thing I wanted to say um, is I don't think there's an urgency to necessarily address this, but we do have a couple of players, two players particularly, that I think we're probably better for not having. And that's Gabe Vincent and Maxi Kleber. Now, those are great guys. I'm not sitting here saying removing them is great for the locker room or saying that there's such a problem that they just must go. That's not necessarily an urgent thing. But I do feel like the young players that we have in place, why we've been able to showcase Nick Smith in the absence of our other guard stars, why we've been able to showcase Bronny James is because you don't have Gabe Vincent out there eating up all the minutes. He doesn't play well enough to be eating up the minutes that we could be giving these hopefuls who within getting those minutes are playing great. And so I don't want Gabe to come back. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I like Gabe as a guy. He's done some good things, but mostly it's just been a lot of frustration. And I don't think this young unit looks better with him on the floor than they do with the young guys that we have in place in his stead. It just is what it is. I cannot deny that depth is important, and the more healthy bodies you have, the better. And so I'm not going to sit here and say this is a perfect way of looking at things in general, but just for the sake of having young guards, ball handlers who now have opportunities to get better every time they get on the floor, who have meaningful opportunities to play real roles. I don't need Gabe Vincent out there eating up those minutes. I want that to continue to go to Bronny. I want that to continue to go to um, Nick Smith. And I think we're better for those guys getting better and not having a guy who's not going to get better, who doesn't even play well most of the time, eating up those minutes just because he's of cachet. I don't need that. That's not helping my squad at all. I'm not looking forward to him coming back at all. I want us to move on from Gabe Vincent so that those guys can have those opportunities. And Maxi Kleber, I mean, it's not my money. That's Mr. Walter's money. That's Jeannie Buss money. It's not my money. But I do feel like he's a waste of money and a waste of space. I mean, when you talk about a roster spot and you talk about a guy like Nick Smith on a two-way after the performance he just had, yeah, we want to see more from Nick Smith, but I think it's clear to see he's somebody you should keep on your roster. I don't want to be at risk for losing Nick Smith when Maxi Kleber's eating up a roster spot, being out, just out all the time. I mean, he did a great job on his body. He took care of himself. He came back from the injury, played one game, and got another long-term ab injury that's going to keep him out for more. No, bro. No. No. Roster spots are precious in the NBA. Precious to the players who need the opportunities, precious to the teams and the organizations. We do not need to be giving roster spots to people who can't get on the floor, who don't have any upside, and when they are out there, just aren't that great. Just aren't that great. And so if we're going to find solutions for those two roster spots, Gabe Vincent, which is an addition by subtraction, except for the fact that, again, more bodies equals more depth, more defensive ability for Gabe Vincent. He does some good things. But, I'd rather Nick Smith be out there and Bronny James, y'all. And I can use that roster spot on another center. I need one because we only have two centers. And you look at a team like San Antonio, who we're going to see tonight, they got three centers that could potentially be coming back from injury on top of Wemby out there. You know, Sohan and Luke Cornett. Like, if you have to play a team like that in the playoffs, you're in some trouble because you don't have the size. They're going to beat you up. And so we could use another center. We don't particularly like using this. The other guy that we have, man, his name, I mean, we barely use him. So it's no wonder why I can't remember his name, but it's Koloko. We don't like using him for whatever reason. I think he's a pretty good rim protector, but his upside is very limited. You know what I mean? His floor is pretty low. So I I personally, as a fan, value him a bit more than it appears our coach does. I think we need to upgrade with that being the case. And so if I can turn Gabe Vincent and Maxi Kleber into that piece, I think I've done something good for myself. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't mean that I'm going to be able to make a trade and get rid of those guys because I don't think those two guys really have great market value, although they're both expiring contracts and that could be valuable to somebody, but I don't think they're productive players. Gabe can be considered a productive player, but again, only if you don't have the need to put players behind him in greater positions. That's the dynamic. So I need Gabe out of there. And so I know I sound cutthroat. You guys know I've sounded like this a lot throughout the course of the years. I don't mind being the bad guy when it comes to this team because we're trying to chase a ring. And while I think the experience of Gabe Vincent and Maxi Kleber, having both been played in the finals before, could be helpful for this team and for the maturity level of the roster, which does have some young guys on it, I still don't necessarily think that the negatives are less than the or more than the positive. I can't even speak, but I think the negatives outweigh the positives when it comes to those two players for our organization and what we have going on. So I don't know if you waive Maxi Kleber if you can't make a trade for him, given he's an expiring contract. Maybe that's a solution. And for Gabe Vincent, I do think I can find a landing spot for Gabe Vincent. But if I can't, I don't know that he's the type of player you waive. That's probably not the best organizational decision. But he's definitely taking steps behind players that he may be considered better than because I think we're better as a unit with those young guys on the floor. And him not eating up all the minutes, waiting for the next injury. I don't care for that anymore. I'm going to be honest with you, man. I never did care for the Gabe Vincent contract. Like I said, Gabe Vincent has had moments where he's played really well, including the preseason where he couldn't miss a shot. But the majority of the time, I've had more complaints than positive things to say about Gabe. And I just, at this point, I'm ready to cut ties. I see an opportunity for my team to win a championship, potentially if things fall in place in other areas that we don't control. And he, in my mind, could be a deterrent to me getting the most out of some of those players that I know I'm going to need to rely upon in the future. And so, yeah, that's my thing. It's like, I got some guards I really want to play. We haven't even seen what some of the other undrafted guys, we still haven't seen what Marciulionis can do. Did we waive him or not? I'm not really certain what happened there. But if we did waive him, I would love to bring him back. Like, I know he can play. I sat for a whole hour, if I told you guys many times, and watch highlights of Marciulionis. He's somebody who needs to be in the NBA. So, I don't believe in giving up on young players all willy-nilly. I was listening to DTLF say that he doesn't understand why people give up on young talent so early. I am with him on that. I don't understand it. I'd be quicker to give up on a guy who's in his mid-30s for certain. And all of his experience can be great. I will hire him as an assistant coach or a specialist or whatever. He don't need to be out there eating up a roster spot because roster spots are precious. And there are too many guys like Nick Smith, like Ryan Rollins, like all these young players that are coming out of some nowhere. Ray J, whatever his name is in Indiana, who's starting to play well. There's too many dudes in the undrafted market that people are finding left and right. And we have some of the best scouts in the league who are doing that very thing. We're some of the best at it. I don't need Maxi Kleber and people like that eating up my roster spots when I have scouts that can bring me the next guy. No. And so you guys have been seeing it manifest. This, for which I've been talking about, is now being shown to you. You're seeing everything we've been talking about for years. Bring us young players and let them flourish in your organization. We have had a lot of success with that. Look at what Jake LaRavia is doing. Most people don't even know who Jake LaRavia is. Been stuck in Sacramento and Memphis all these years, but he played well with the minutes given there. I saw that and I identified it. And I told you guys, I like this player. I said it 2 years ago when he was playing for Memphis. He kicked our butts. He had a really good game against us. He should be considered. We have him on our team now. Look at him. He's flourishing. He's playing his best ball for us right now. And that is what we need to continue to do. And that's what teams who don't have their picks need to continue to do in order to make up the value that's been lost in mortgage and picks. It's been the essence of my conversation on this channel for 5 years. And now you're seeing what we're talking about. So this is the next step in what it is that I'm saying. You continue to remove the old guys who need to be coaches and need to be in the booth on Peacock. You get them off your team. Send them off to China if they want to continue their career. Send them off to Brooklyn if teams like that want to sign them. But we need to continue to find these players and trust these scouts to bring us these inexpensive, high-producing players that are looking for opportunities and ready to be hungry. That's what we need to do, because that's what's gotten us as far as we've gotten, and that's what's going to keep us in a position to withstand the injuries that are inevitably coming from building around LeBron James and Luka Doncic. It just is what it is. Those guys ain't going to be out there a lot of time. You need these guys, and we're finding them. So let's keep on that path and get rid of the guys who are deterrents to that. And most importantly, continue to bring us size. These undersized guards, I'm fine with them if they're going to play like Bronny James and play like Nick Smith against the Blazers. But we do need guys at about 6'4", 6'5", with long arms that can play those point guard positions as well, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to match up with bigger guys just like you want to be able to match up with smaller ones. So we don't have enough big guards on the floor outside of our stars. And I think that we need more centers and rim protection as well, as I mentioned already. And so these are things that we're doing a good job. In fact, at this point, I think we only have about 2 or 3 roster spots that we could replace. Everybody else, I'm pretty happy with. And that's a far cry from where we've been. And I tell you guys, man, a lot of people were in the offseason, we're talking about, we need to bring back Dorian Finney-Smith. Oh, no, he's older now, man. And the contract that they gave him may have been structured in a very unique way, so you don't want to kill them for the contract. But at the end of the day, I'd rather have Jake LaRavia 100% of the time. And I told you guys that I was happy with the Jake LaRavia, and that Dorian, when they signed him to whatever they signed him in Houston, he could move on. I said, I'd rather have Jake. I said, I was the only person I heard on the internet saying that. I'd rather have Jake, because I know Jake has upside. I learned a lesson a very long time ago being a Laker fan, when we made a trade for a guy by the name of Trevor Ariza. He had played for the Orlando Magic. I thought he was a scrub. He played for the New York Knicks. I thought he was a scrub. I don't remember who we traded away, but it was somebody I did not want to trade away to get him. And I saw this, I was watching ESPN or whatever. I was somebody's house, and I saw at the bottom of the screen that we had made a trade for Trevor Ariza. I think I was at my Aunt BB's house out in Pasadena. I still remember this. This was probably about 30 years ago. And I remember seeing the scroll at the bottom of the screen saying the Lakers made a trade for such and such and such and such, Tony Battia, something like that, and Trevor Ariza. I'm like, Trevor Ariza? This dude ain't done nothing in his career, man. Who is this guy? He gonna come here and suck. He ain't nobody. And he ended up being a fan favorite, won a championship with him, all that. At that moment, I understood that this was the mentality I needed to have as a basketball fan. That we need to be bringing in guys that you've never heard of and bringing them to you so that you can do something with them that has not been done yet, while they're continuing to progress as basketball players. Guys, a second-year guy has been on the back of a bench. If you like what you see, go grab him and bring him to your situation, give him opportunities, because he's only getting better from here. So what you already saw from him was him down here. But if he's headed upwards, then you're going to pick him up here, and you're going to play him up to here. And that's what the idea is, as opposed to a guy like Maxi Kleber, who's down here and it's going to continue going down because he already did that process. Gabe Vincent, when you got him, he was like here and he's headed this way. No. Get these guys off the team unless they serve a specific purpose to the betterment of the unit. And if they don't, if they're taking away players who are headed upward, you got to get them off of your team. You got to do it. And like I said, for the experience, we need these guys for experience. Coaches. That's my solution for all these dudes. Hey, look, you want to retire? You can be an assistant coach. Simple. And we have you around for all the different things that we need. Experience. Talk to these young guys. Be there. Be down there with them. And in practice, suit up. You're still in shape? For sure. You can be somebody they guard in practice. This is what we need those guys to do. But we don't need them out there trying to run up against other young players. We need the young players run up against young players, because young legs need to be facing young legs, not old legs, unless they're different than genetically, like LeBron. Other than that, I don't need no old guys out there. I don't need guys that are about to head into the booth, finishing their careers here as role players. That is a waste of space for me. And so that's really my take on things, man. Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleber, like I said, I don't think the urgency is necessarily in place. It's not like we have to do this in order to get where we want to go right now. But I do think if we want to put ourselves in a position to truly be in a great spot, you don't have any wasted roster spots. None. So that's really what it is, man. That's what I'm preaching. What else, man? Love what I'm seeing from Austin Reeves. Not worried about LeBron when he comes back, other than to say that I think there could be, there's always room for the idea that he goes right back out with an injury again. When you're in your 40s, man, it's uncharted territory, just in general. So we don't really know what to expect from LeBron when he gets in here. At any given moment, he could plateau and just be washed at any moment because we're well past what would be understood to be washed for anybody. So that's really what concerns me. I don't know what a washed LeBron looks like because he's probably still better than most, but you just have to be ready for the fall off, whatever that looks like. And that's just the reality of it. You have to be ready for it. Uh, I can tell you right now, I'm only like 3 months older than him, and the body falls off quickly, man. It falls off quickly. And you start having issues that you like, what the hell, man? Just 5 months ago, I had energy. Today, I don't. That kind of thing. It's just at this point in your life, it's not really time to be doing strenuous activities running up against 22-year-olds, 23-year-olds. You just passed that at this point in your life. Now, LeBron, like I said, he's different. And if he continues to play like this at 50, then he's just setting a bar for a different type of genetics. I don't doubt that is exactly who he is. But until we see that, you have to always expect it. The fall off coming, or his body may not react well to the next injury, an injury that may cost him 2 months, may cost him the season now. That type of thing is just, I think it's the best way to prepare. And so I want to rely upon him as little as possible. And I think we've put together a team that probably can rely upon him as little as possible. We're 6-2 without him. Now, I think we'll be a better team with him, but we have to continue to expect that he can move on soon or be injured at any given moment, and resting him is necessary. So we have to be able to function without him and still compete at an extremely high level. I want to say that I'm not really certain, though I love what we're doing. I'm not really certain if we are real or not as it pertains to us being contenders. I'm not sure. Luka is Luka. Luka is definitely Luka. He's already proven he can get you to the finals. Period. And the way Austin's been playing, I think he's proven enough for us to say, okay, he's real. But is Jake real? Is what we're seeing from Jake what we can expect from Jake? I don't know. I don't know. Can Nick Smith do what he did in Portland ever again? I don't know. And so the jury is out. If I'm being an objective, non-Laker fan-minded person, the Lakers, the jury's out. I'm not going to sit up and say, they're certain to get as good as, and this is what you're going to get from I don't know. Ayton, I've seen enough from Ayton to know that this is probably not what you expect from Ayton. But I also understand that Ayton hasn't been in many situations where meaningful basketball has been played. So I think when the guy is motivated and he's happy where he's at, you can get the most out of him, maybe a little more focus. And I think that's what we have going on. But it's such a small sample size of him being reliable and good, and not good. Good is not the word, but being as consistent as he's been. I want to see it for a much more prolonged period of time before I'm certain that he's not going to revert back to old Ayton. I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing, and what I'm seeing looks great. Give me more is what I'm saying from some of these guys. And so that's the truth. I don't know. We have to continue to play against good teams. Tonight's a strong barometer against the San Antonio Spurs team that I think is very good. Of course, they're missing some people to injury, obviously Fox and Harper. Maybe they get Sohan back tonight. Maybe they get Cornette back soon. But, they have some key role players out, star out. So, yeah, they could potentially be much better than what we'll see tonight. But even so, I still expect that the Lakers will be able to kind of gauge where they are by facing this squad. We also got OKC coming up not too long from now. I'm not sure how soon, probably within the next 2 weeks, we will see OKC. We got a nice long road trip as well. We're going to see if we're really this team. Salute the Kobe minute. So that's really what it is. It's the test right here. We've already had some road trips. We're undefeated on the road. Tonight's a home game, so that's not going to be affected by what takes place tonight. But coming up, we got like a 6-game road trip, 5-game road trip back east. Some of those teams are considered easy, but can we keep winning on the road? Are we going to continue to get this production from some of these guys who are playing really well on the road? These are questions that I have for the Lakers. If we're really this road team, then we're gonna knock that road trip out of the park. I don't expect to win every game on the road trip, but I expect to have above 500 record on the road if we're really who we are appearing to be. So those are the thoughts that came to mind right away, man. I'm excited about this team in ways that most people are. I think at this point we're all on the same page. Lakers Nation is having fun for the first time in maybe 3, 4 years, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. These has been some drags of a season overall. We've had some high moments, but we've had some drags of seasons just since the championship. And every year it was something extremely irritating. Last year for me, it wasn't our team; it was the schedule. Schedule took a lot out of me. The year before that, um, was it Westbrook? Westbrook? No, it was Torian Prince and Coach Ham. That whole thing. Before that, it was Westbrook. Before that, we had issues with injuries. I didn't like the way that we were coached that year. Um, the whole Andre Drummond and what's the other center that we set for Drummond who was playing better than Drummond, and we started losing. It was a lot going on with that season as well. The Dennis Schroeder year, it was a lot bad. And then 2020, of course, was our championship year, but we all went through losing Kobe. So that season was tainted. And of course, literally the pandemic, which is the most difficult thing most of us have been through. So it's been some drags, man. This is the first season in a long time where we can legitimately say we're having fun. And of course, last year we had the Luka trade, but that we were dealing with the schedule that was so tough. So, it was one of those things where I think Laker fans are finally just able to start the season and say, man, we're having a great time. We look good. We got a young squad. We're exciting. We got some cult favorites, people that people can rally around. Uh, Luka's in place. He's in shape. He looks great. Austin's developed completely and now entering his prime, looking great. It's a lot of good going on right now to start the season, even with the injuries, which seem to be plaguing us early. They're not stopping us from being good, and we're giving good, meaningful minutes to guys that we hope we can rely upon later on in bigger ways. And so that's what it is, man. I just wanted to give y'all a video on these Lakers. Hopefully, kill as much time as I need to upload that video. Probably still got another 30 minutes as slow as it's been going. But at least I was able to kill a little time and then test this phone out to see if this video will upload. And I can just leave this here and let it do that. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to say, man. I appreciate everybody for rocking with BDF 44.